I'll show you a quick and easy workflow on how to turn any low quality image from the internet into a high res version and even into weathered signage like this without ever leaving Blender or using any AI tools. If you would like to download the reference image so you can follow along, or you want to just download the project files, you can do so in the link in the description. It is completely free. Let's start off by deleting the starter cube and the light. We don't need these. So now let's bring in our reference, our low quality reference. So Shift A to add a new mesh. We can type image and then just click on empty image. Then in the data properties tab right here, this green thing, we can press open to grab our image. We can go ahead and find the low quality image and just bring it in. Now let's go ahead and press 7 on the numpad to go into top view and just zoom in a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is come back into this data tab right here. We're going to check the opacity, make sure this is checked, and set this all the way to 0.1 or 0.2. And then we'll scroll down a little bit here. We'll go ahead on this button right here. If you can't see this, it's because you have to scroll. So just hover over the search wheel and then scroll. And just toggle this mouse cursor right here, and then we can, in our empty, deselect this, and now we can no longer press this on accident. Alright, so making this a high-res version is really not going to take very long. We're only going to need 3 things. So we're going to bring in a plane. We're going to scale that down using S and put that on the side here. We're going to Shift A again and bring in a circle mesh. We're going to also scale that down and put it on the side here. And we're going to bring in a text mesh. So we're also going to Shift A, add in text, scale that down, and put it on the side here. These are the 3 elements we'll need to make this all the way from scratch. We'll get started with the plaque, so let's select our plane. Let's Shift D to duplicate and place it in the middle here. First, we're going to come up here, and we're going to enable both of these buttons so we can actually see what's going on. We're going to grab our plane, we're going to go into edit mode, S, Y, and just scale that up a little bit. So with that all in place now, with everything selected, make sure you are in vertex select. Just press 1 on the keyboard or go up here and press vertex. And we can go Control Shift B to bevel the vertices. We can also right click to cancel that, Control B and just press V, and that'll work as well. And we'll do like 4 segments or so and just make it relatively small so it's a little bit rounded. There we go, that should be good. Now let's go ahead and press 3 to go to face select, and we will press I to inset and just make a little inset. It doesn't have to be very big, just something like this. We'll zoom in a little bit. While still in face select, hold Alt and click on this loop here so we can select it. Shift D, and we're gonna S to scale that down immediately, and that's gonna be the black line. There we go. All right, with that out of the way, we've basically done the entire plaque. So we're going to tab out of this, and we are going to click on our circle mesh. We're going to Shift D and move this over here. And we'll just scale this down in object mode, get a little bit closer, and just make sure that you make this around about this size so this actually makes sense. Scale it up a little bit more, and there we go. Now we can tab into object mode, 1 for vertex select, select half of this, G, X, and just move it all the way over here, and there we go. Now we're going to press A, F to fill it, and then tab out again, and that's that section complete. Now let's go ahead and get the text elements sorted, so we don't have to actually duplicate this. We'll just change the font first and then duplicate it. So we'll G to move this over here, we'll tab in, and we need to make this caution. Okay, so we'll tab out again. At the side here in the data properties where you see this green A, you're going to come in here and then you have a font section. We're going to click on that. We're going to click on this folder right here, and that's going to open the Blender default fonts. I haven't downloaded any fonts, so you should have these as well, unless this is a difference between Linux and Windows. I used Fira code to make the low quality reference on bold, so let's use this one and then just size it so it actually makes sense. So we'll just go ahead and scale this with S. It doesn't have to be perfect. Something like this is perfectly fine. All right, so now we can start duplicating this and use it for the other text since we've actually changed the font now. So Shift D to duplicate. We're going to press Y to constrain it to the Y. We're going to press it here and then just Shift D, Y 1 more time for this section. And then we can Shift R to repeat since now it's the same distance. We'll click on this first one, tab in, and type don't feed. We'll go into the second one, type in the, and then into the third one, and type in clankers. Favorite word of 2026 right here. All right, let's scale this one down, GX. Something like this is fine. It doesn't perfectly match up, but it really doesn't have to. I mean, it depends on the scene, obviously. If you're doing a scene where it's like, it has to be perfectly fine, and it has to be perfectly accurate to the signage, then obviously make it perfectly accurate. This is just to showcase how to do it. You can put as much or as little time as you want in it. And obviously, if you actually don't have the exact font of the sign that you are trying to replicate, you can always just, actually manually make the letters with extrusions and vertices. So you can always do that. So now that we're done with the text, we can do the little robot face in the middle here. But before we do that, I'm going to bring my mouse down. I'll just quickly make it bigger, bring it down here until your cursor changes, right click, join down just to get rid of the timeline since we don't actually need it. It just takes up space. We will grab this plane. We don't need to duplicate it because it's the last one we will need. We will put it in the middle of the robot's face. In object mode, we will scale this down till the top and the bottom of the plane match up with the robot head. We'll do it like so. Then we'll tab into edit mode and we will control R to add a loop cut straight through the middle. We will in vertex select these two on the left, hold shift, select these two on the right, control B to bevel, and we'll press V to access vertex select. And we'll bevel this with quite a few segments, so 12, so it's nice and smooth. Then we will select half of it. We will shift D, press X, move it over here. We will S to scale, Y to scale it only on the Y, move it so it matches up here, and then S and X to scale it again, but on the X, and then we will go ahead and GX to move it in place, there we go. And then lastly, for the other ear, we can Shift D, X, place it right here. Now we want to flip this around, so we want to mirror it, so Control M to mirror. We want to mirror it on the X axis, so we're going to press X, and there we go. GX to move, and we're going to place it like this. Maybe a little bit, the ears might be able to come a little bit closer even. This might be good. There we go. Let's tab back out of this object with the robot face done. Now we're just missing the mouth and the eyes. So for the mouth, we can use this one since it's the exact same shape. Shift D, Y to bring it down, and we'll just make it smaller like this. Zoom in a little bit. GX, move that in place. This is maybe SY, make it a little bit taller. GY, move that in place. Perfect. All right, and then we'll use our last object right here, the circle. We'll move this into the middle of the eye. We'll scale this down in object mode till it fits. We will go ahead and tab into edit mode in vertex select, make sure you have everything selected, and press F to fill. Then still in edit mode, we can Shift D, X, and just move this over here. And then we can go ahead and change the pivot point, if we come up here, to individual origins. And now if we press A to select everything, Shift D one more time, we can go ahead and scale those down individually, and we can make the smaller eyes with that. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually add some color. First thing we'll do is go to the side here to the collection. This empty, our actual image, you can delineate it because we turned this off. We can go ahead and remove this entirely so it doesn't, stay visible in the viewport. And we will need only two colors for this. So we will go into our main plaque object, and we will go ahead and tab into the edit mode for it. Then let's press Z and go into material preview. You can also do that at the top here from wireframe to material preview. And we'll go ahead and in this object, stay tabbed in, we'll go down here to the material section, and we will press the plus twice to add two slots. The first slot will be a new material that we will call yellow. And the second one will be a new material that we will call black. On yellow, we will just change it to somewhere here. We can fine tune it in just a second, but we will turn the roughness all the way up. And in black, we will make it fully black and also turn the roughness all the way up. Now we'll go ahead and in face select, so come up here and go face select or press 3 on the keyboard. We are going to once again select this loop. So Alt click this loop. And while we are on the black tab, we will assign this. You will see that this causes some flickering. That's because they are basically competing for space, which Blender does not like. So with that still selected, we'll press G, Z, and then hold Shift because we want this to be a very small increment of movement until it stops flickering, just about this, and that's all good. There we go. Let's quickly do the same for all the other elements here. So let's select we can just drag over this whole thing actually. Hold Control and then drag a box just over the side here. So we deselect the plaque and then just G, Z, hold Shift until everything stops. And then we'll do the same thing here. So we'll go into top view with numpad 7. We'll select this robot face here. Now we have everything including the eyes. but we want to deselect the actual face. So let's deselect it like this. And now we just have the mouth and the eyes, and we can go ahead and GZ, lift this up ever so slightly, and we can start giving the materials. So let's grab this and give it the black material. And then we can just select this, and this as well. Select our black text last, Control L, link those materials, and now that's all black. And then we just want to grab the white one still, and we want to give that the yellow. So we'll just do that one by one here. It doesn't take that long. And the only thing that's still flickering is the caution. So let's GZ shift and make it so it doesn't flicker. So that's our upscaling section done. Now we just need to export this. So I also changed the color of the yellow. So if you want the exact same color that I'm using, you can put in the hex code D6B833. Then we'll go ahead and press Z, go into rendered view, top view. Now we'll bring the camera to us. So Control Alt 0. We will click on this little toggle right here so we can zoom out a little bit. We'll go to the output section right here, and we'll put this to 1920 by 1920, and I am going to put this to 4K by setting this to 200. And then with the lock still enabled, we'll just kind of put this in frame properly. This is good. It's not going to perfectly match, and it doesn't have to. We will fix that in the UV unwrap in the next section shortly. So once this is lined up, you can turn this off. We got to make sure that there are no lights, so we already disabled our light at the start of the video. We are going to go into the World tab, and here we're going to make sure that we have flat lighting, so we'll turn this up to 10, maybe even 20. I did just notice that his eyes got lost in the sauce, so let's come up here real quick, turn on wireframe again, click on the eyes, tab into edit mode, and then with the inner section selected, we'll come down here to the material tab again, make a second slot for this as well, put the black here, and with this selected, press assign, and then we'll just come to the side view a little bit here, and GZ, because this is again going to be flickering, just move it up slightly, press 0 to go back into the camera view, and you can press Z back to rendered view, and there we go, his eyes are now visible. And then lastly, let's go up here and just make sure in the render tab that you are in Eevee. We'll scroll all the way down to the color management tab, which is the last tab right here. And we'll set this from AGX. This can actually stay AGX, that's fine. And we'll set the contrast to high contrast. And that's all we have to do. Now just press F12 to render this image. Then you can go ahead up to image, save as, and I'm going to save this on the desktop, and I'll just call this high res clanker. Save as image, and now we're ready for the actual texturing. So if we come back to our file, we still have everything set up. What we're going to do is click our plaque right here, Shift D, X to copy this plaque. We will select everything except for the camera, so just hold control and drag a box over the camera to deselect. Press M, new collection, and just put that high res version. So we have this saved in the file, and then we can go ahead and hide this collection by pressing this checkbox right here. And now it's invisible. We can grab the plaque that we copied, GX, move that in frame right now, and we can go ahead back to the material tab at the bottom right here and just press minus to get rid of the materials. Now let's go to the side here and just drag another window open. So you want to make sure that your cursor turns into this crosshair here in the corner. And then just drag another window open. And we want to make sure that we have as much visibility here as possible. So at the top with the mouse on the object mode here, we're going to scroll down, and that's going to make it go to the side. And both this and this, so these two buttons, can be turned off. And that's going to give us a little bit more visibility first and foremost. And then here at the top right here in the second window, we are going to turn this into the shader editor. I know nodes can be a little bit scary, but they're really not that scary at all. And we will keep it to very basic principles. We're not going for photoreal sign weathering here. We're just going to explain the actual concepts to you, and you'll be able to take it from there. So first I'm going to press N to get rid of this sidebar here. And I'm going to go ahead to the Edit tab into Preferences, and in Add-ons, I'm going to make sure that the Node Wrangler is enabled. If this is not checked, then you should check it. It's very helpful for nodes. We're going to go ahead and make a new material for our plane by clicking up here. And now we want to add our image texture that we made, our high-res image, to this, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to click on the principled BSDF, make sure it is selected, and then press Ctrl plus T. and it's going to add an image texture plus the mapping nodes. Now let's go ahead and press open here on the image texture, and we are just going to go ahead and find our image. And you can see immediately that it starts appearing here on our side view, but we do have a little bit of a problem where this is very stretched, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's off of the UV, which it is. Then we'll quickly go back up here and we'll change this back to the 3D viewport. We'll click on this object right here. We will tab into edit mode. We will press A, U, and then we will do a cube projection, and that's immediately going to fix that. So now what we can do is, again, to the top here, we are going to go to the UV editor, which is the third option here. We're going to select our object and edit mode and press A, zoom out a little bit, and then we can just press S to scale this, and we're going to scale this perfectly so it actually fits on here. So you can see that there's still a little bit of a problem. So GX, move it slightly to the side, and now it fits within there, and you can see that it actually starts to look a lot more, like the perfect scale. So that's all we have to do here. Let's go back up top and change this back to the shader editor. Nodes are generally pretty easy to work with, but they just get very intimidating and confusing because, it's like a spider web of nodes. So we're going to make sure that we stay organized. So what we're going to do is select these 3 nodes with the box select. We're going to press F on the keyboard, and then we can immediately give this a label. So we're going to call this image texture plus mapping, because that's what this is. And then we'll just press G and move it to the side a little bit. Now let's go ahead and quickly make a setup to make sort of a dust layer to make sure that it looks a little bit dirty. So we'll press Shift A and bring in a noise texture, and we'll place that under here. If we Control Shift click, it will automatically preview, and this is what our noise texture actually looks like. So we are going to turn this a little bit different. So we'll turn this to 4.5 on the scale. We'll leave the detail as it is, and we'll turn the roughness all the way up to 0.8, and then that's all we have to do with it. We'll take this factor and we'll drag this out and let go, which will open another add window, and we can just type in ramp to bring a color ramp in and place this next to it. Now we will Control Shift click this color ramp to preview this, and we will slide these little sliders closer together, and you're going to see that that's going to make this interesting pattern, and we'll use that to tell us where the dust goes and where it doesn't go. We're not going to make a complex mask right now, but we are going to mix these two, right? Because we want this and this to be mixed. So we will go ahead and drag this color out of our actual image texture, and we'll do a mix color. Take this and just place it down here. We will make it so this goes into the B slot, so our image texture will go into B, and then the color of this color ramp of our actual noise texture will go into color A. And now if we preview this by Control Shift click, we can see that this is not working very well. What we want to do is mix these together. So we are going to go onto this color tab here, and in blending mode, we'll set this to mix. And now you can see that nothing's really happening, right? Because the factor is set to 1. 1 means we use exclusively color B. 0 means we use exclusively color A, right? So we are going to set this pretty high. We're going to set this to something like 0.95. And all that's going to do, as you're going to see, is going to add these little bits of what seems like dust. Let's stay organized with it as much as we can. So let's select these two, press F, and call this dust layer pattern. You can name this whatever you want. If you speak a different language and you want to make it in your language, do that. Click on this. We'll press F here, mix dust with original image. You don't have to be so obtuse about it. You can make it shorter, but I'm just going to make it, as clear as possible for now. And we're going to go ahead and move these backwards a little bit. Now, what I'd also still like to add is that certain parts of it are kind of like chipped away and there's rust beneath it. It's not going to be super realistic rust, but we're going to make everything ourselves. So what we're going to do is add a new noise texture, and we are going to go ahead and preview it by doing Control Shift click. And there's our noise texture again. This one, we want a much higher scale, so we're going to turn the scale to 40. We're going to turn the detail all the way up to 15, which is going to soften it a little bit. And the roughness we can turn up slightly to 0.6. Once again, we're going to drag the factor out, and we're going to do a ramp. So color ramp there. Press Enter and click to place it. And we are once again going to make this a little bit tighter here. That's good. Preview this, and that's what it looks like. So this is going to be good for this chip texture. And now we need an actual rust texture to go behind it. So we are going to make this ourselves, although you could download this from places like Polyhaven. If you want it to be more realistic, you could always do that. But for this, let's just go ahead and bring in another noise texture. There we go. Preview this one. We're going to go ahead and turn the scale up to 8. We'll turn the detail up to 5 and the roughness to 0.7. And then the factor we can drag out and bring another color ramp in. We're going to Control-Shift-Click this color ramp to preview it. And here is where we're going to actually make our rust texture. So first, we're going to press this plus here, this one right here, which is going to add a new node. So now we have 3 of them. We're going to drag this one closer. We're going to drag this one closer as well. And now we are going to go ahead and actually make this into rust colors. So we'll make this into something brownish. So we'll slide this up a little bit, make it relatively dark. Make it like dark brown. You can see this is all changing here and it's starting to come along. For the second color, we'll use the same color, but just a bit lighter. So click on this and we can hover over this and press Control C to copy. And then we can come over here and just Control V and then come in this and just go ahead and make this lighter like so. And you can already see that it's kind of starting to come together more and more. So for the last color, we'll just do the same thing again. We'll copy that second color in there and we'll just make it a little bit lighter again, just like so. And that looks like a nice rust texture to me, at least a low poly one. We have a little bit of an unwrapping issue here, but that won't be visible. If you want to copy the exact colors, you can do that here. So the first color is 652D16 hex code. The second one is A44924. And then the third one is EF6B335FF. So with these two made, what we're going to do is first make it organized. So we'll go ahead and select these two, press F, name it Rust Texture. Take these two, press F, name it Rust Mask. Grab both of them together, make sure everything's selected, press F, and call it Rust. And now this is 2 frames within a frame. Before we layer in our dust, let's quickly make one more element, which will be the last element we need here, and then we'll be pretty much finished. So we'll Shift A and bring in a gradient texture. We'll put that up here above the image texture. We will drag out the color. And we will go ahead and put a color ramp over here. That's nice. We will preview this and we will see that this is adding a little bit of a gradient. The only thing is that I want it to go from top to bottom, not from, left to right. So we'll have to remap this. So let's click this and Control T to add a mapping and a coordinate node. Again, this is because of the Node Wrangler add-on. Without that, the Control T does not work. And we'll go ahead and just go on the rotation Z over here and we'll set this to 90 degrees. And then we can just move this up a little bit. So set the X to 1 meter. And there we go. That's exactly what we wanted. Now to finish this, let's just drag over this color ramp so this is not as severe. And this should be good. So just set this white dial to position 0.157. So now let's go ahead and add this gradient to our current version. So this is how far we've gotten. This is just our image with the dust layer. So let's drag this over a little bit. Let's drag out the result and bring in another color mix. So mix color, take this over here. We're going to set this from color to mix once again. We're going to drag this into B, not A, and then we'll find our color ramp from our gradient, so that's over here, and we'll set that into the factor. Now if we click here, you can see that this is adding a little bit of a gradient, but it is inverted, it's not the correct color. We want this to be black. So let's just go ahead and turn this black. That's what we want it to do. Now, the only thing that I would like is for this to be a little bit lighter. So let's go back to our color ramp here on the gradient texture and just turn this color up to a bit more of a dark gray, which is going to make it a little bit less severe. And there we go. That's much nicer. And while we're here, let's select all of these, press F and go with gradient texture. All right, let's come to the mix node where we just added that. We'll press F and name it mix in gradient. So we know that this is where we mixed in the gradient. And now we'll do one more mix where we're going to go ahead and add in the rust texture. So we'll drag out this result of the mix in gradient and we will bring in another color mix. There we go. And we'll go ahead and zoom in and once again set this color to mix right here. We'll go ahead and preview this, Control-Shift-Click. Now this doesn't do anything yet. We will put this from A into B. Color A will be our rust texture. So at the bottom rust texture, let's bring the color from color to A, and then Now, obviously, we have the same scenario where if we press 1, we have this mix and gradient version. And when we set it to 0, we only have the rust. So we want to actually use our rust mask, which we made earlier. So bring in the color and put that into the mask. And this is now what it looks like. Now it looks a little bit like someone like threw spaghetti sauce on it or something. If this is exactly what you want, then perfect. It's not quite what I want. So I will go to the mask and I will just slightly adjust this, pull the black back a little bit, bring in the white, and maybe make it a little bit more like this so it looks, you know, chipped. And again, this isn't how rust normally in real life would actually spread. There would be much more around the edges and whatnot, but we are not going for hyper-realism here. This does look nice, and this is essentially the finished version. Now the only thing we need to do is come on here, press F, mix in rust, and then we'll just move these all back a little bit. It's a little bit messy right now, but it is what it is. We'll put the result into the base color of the principal BSDF, Control-Shift-Click to preview, and this is what it actually looks like right now. We will go ahead and turn the metallic to 0 because, you know, while this would maybe be metallic, for this purpose we won't actually use it because it's more low poly, and the roughness we will also turn up to 0.8 or so. Now the very last thing I would do is to add a hue saturation value node in between these two. So actually right before it goes into the BSDF, just so we can actually control the color. So now we can turn this to any color we want by just sliding the hue, which we're going to reset back to 0.5. The saturation, if you want this to be more or less saturated, I'll turn this a little bit like 0.9, 0.91 was nice. The value, we'll just keep that on default 1, and then the factor to actually turn it less or more contrasted, and we'll leave this at 0.5, I believe. So now if we right click here in the middle, we join right, we zoom out a little bit, let's turn this back on, these two buttons right here. Let's go ahead and scale this down a little bit. GX, oh, we have the whole camera width, so just this, GX, move this to the side. We have our high-res version here. We'll deselect the actual plaque. Oh, transform pivot point back to median point right here. My bad. It was still on individual elements from earlier. So GX, there we go. That's our high-res version. And then we have our actual picture. So that's all we really had to do. I'm not going to render this right now, but you can now basically use this for your video game or whatever you want to use it for. And you can use this workflow whenever you have a reference, you need a sign or something, and the reference just is not very high quality. There's no need to go to an AI and be like, hey, turn this into a high quality. Don't use AI. AI is for babies. Use your own brain, use your own hands. If you don't actually have to explain everything like I did in the video, then this is incredibly fast if you have a little bit of practice with this. And you can make more complex masks, use more complex materials, and just turn this into a way more, you know, complex sign and use this for all kinds of scenes. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Love you.